Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and I am joined by two compadres here for our NBA Finals preview and Game 1 preview here at Coach Talk. First of all, the wonderful, the famous Miss Deb Lutz and Mr. Josh Crash Davis. I don't know what to do here with both of you on here. This is phenomenal.
Yeah.
How are you today?
Doing great. Yeah, I'm excited for this, the three-way here. I don't know. Can I say that on air? Is that appropriate?
We went to PG-13 here. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, great to have both of you. And we've been, if you've been following our podcast, you've seen I have done all of the Western Conference Finals games with Mr. Crash here. So we went through all of the Golden State and Dallas games. And then Deb and I have handled all the Celtics Heat to get to this. So we thought, for this first one, we're going to all get on here together, go through the matchups, talk about the lines, the injuries, what we anticipate, going to come forth for this finals. Should be a fantastic one. We'll give our predictions, throw some players out there, and then we'll have this posted and pinned throughout the finals. We'll also be on each day for each individual game. But this, to look over the whole entire series and what our expectations are. We've got a good feel for what the matchups are going to be defensively for both teams. So we'll break that down and go through all of it. And hopefully it helps everybody really get some winners here. We would love to have you join us, by the way. We're DFS Coach Talk. If you want to join us for this NBA Finals, there are some packages for a week. We have a month package, or you want to dip your toes in for a 3-day package. We've got $10 for that package, and it's dfscoachtalk.com. Everything is listed right on there. And then we'll also be providing prize pick selections for all of these games. And that is our presenting sponsor for this NBA Finals preview, if I could say it right. I just posted MLB, so that's on my brain.
Yeah.
But it is Prizepicks that is the presenting sponsor. So you can go to prizepicks.com, sign up there with the promo code Coach Talk, all one word, no space, and they will match you dollar for dollar on your first deposit, all the way up to $100. All right, here we are, June 1st. Somehow the calendar is turned over to June 1st. Hard to believe, isn't it?
Yeah.
We talked about it in NBA Finals, and here it is. It's amazing. All right, let's look at the Vegas line first, and then we'll have you guys comment on that and see if you think the line is right, or are they losing their marbles here. So we've got Game 1 we'll talk about first of all, and it is at Golden State. We know that. Golden State has home court, so they'll play the first two at Golden State, second two at Boston, and then 1-1-1 back and forth if it goes 7. Golden State's favored by 4. The over-under is 212.5. And then as far as any injuries, all that Boston is listing right now is Sam Hauser, who's not in the rotation, is questionable. Otto Porter is expected to play. He's probable for Golden State. And the two question marks that may be in or out are Iguodala and Payton, which it looks like Payton may be ready. That could affect that rotation a little bit. So first of all, I'll go to Deb. Boston Celtics, everybody available and ready to go with the line. What do you think is your initial feel on Celtics coming into this finals?
Yeah, I mean, they're the young guns, and I think that they have a real shot at this. I think the biggest negative is that Golden State are just pros, and on Boston, nobody has any experience getting to this point. So it's going to be real interesting to see how they handle it, how they handle the spotlight. But they have the firepower. I think I think it goes deep. I don't think that this is a gimme for Golden State. I do think that ultimately Golden State probably prevails, but I think it goes at least 6, if not 7, to that decisive game back in Golden State. And I think the 4.5 spread is a little bit. I think it's going to be close. I think it'll stay real close. So I'd probably slightly lean towards Boston with that big of a spread.
Nice. Counterpoint. What do you say, Josh?
I mean, I feel a lot of the same things. I think that this series is going to be a long series, definitely probably 6 to 7 games. I've really been impressed with Ime Udoka as a coach. I think that he's done a really good job. He's come from that Greg Popovich tree of coaching, and he's just really been impressive to me because every time they struggle in a game, they bounce back in a big way in the next game, which that has a lot to do with coaching. So I really like the way that these teams match up. I think that these are going to be some close games. I don't see there being a lot of blowouts. And, I just think it's going to be a really good series, and I'm looking forward to watching it.
I agree. And as much as I was rooting for Dallas and I was also rooting for Miami, I do think these are the two best teams. I think overall, top to bottom, the depth, I think both teams are solid, and it should make for a fantastic finals. There's no question about it. All right,
Coach,
let's
talk. What do you think about the 212?
The 212 total?
Yeah, the over-under on that.
Yeah, I think it's a little high, personally. I think, these teams are both great defensive teams. I mean, anybody that says defense doesn't win championships, these have been 2 of the top 4 defensive teams throughout the entire year. Mm-hmm. They both can lock people down. They both have, Smart was defensive player of the year. We have players from both sides that have made NBA all defensive teams, and Klay Thompson, Al Horford, years back. There's multiple guys, Klay Thompson, great defenders in this series. So I do think there's explosiveness on both sides offensively, but when push comes to shove, I see that total. I would have set the total more at around 208, 209 personally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's go. Let's look at matchups, because we have an odd situation here. It usually doesn't happen, but I believe that we're going to have 5 matchups of the starting 5 where they're going to guard each other. And usually it's, split up who's going to guard who and what type of rotation. But this looks like mano a mano here. And so we'll talk both. Let's go one by one here. First matchup, more than likely, Defensive Player of the Year, Marcus Smart, against the greatest shooter in the history of basketball, Steph Curry. How do you see that one playing out? Crash, we'll go to you first with that one.
Well, if you look at the box scores of their recent matchups, Curry's had a lot of success against Boston. So I don't know if Marcus Smart maybe missed a couple of those games, but I mean, especially last year, he really had some success against them. So I think that, he's been kind of on a tear the last several games, and I expect that to stay that way. I think that Golden State will set some screens and do some things to free up Curry, like they normally do. And I just think that Curry is really tough to stay on for a whole game. He's just constantly running around, and they just find ways to get him open. So I think that he'll be able to win that matchup. But it's going to be a fun matchup to watch with, like you said, a Defensive Player of the Year against Curry. So. And
what about on the other side? Do you think Smart, who can score well in fantasy?
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's real streaky though. It's like he either is on or he's just way off. So that'll be key to be that kind of third option for Boston offensively for him to step up if they're going to win this series.
Yeah. What do you think, Deb?
Yeah, my take on it is it's probably a tie at this position, at this matchup. I think I totally agree with Crash. I think Curry's played well. He's going to be up for this. He gets his, even against the tough defense of Smart. But I think Smart has also played well against the Warriors. And he's, I think if you think about the defense of Golden State, Curry is probably the weakest defender on the entire team.
Yeah.
So I think it's more likely that Smart's going to get open versus maybe, Tatum, for example. And I feel like he's going to get his as well. So I like both these players.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're both very rosterable, and they should remain that way, just because of the differentiation. As different, like as this next matchup is, you've got two solid defenders and scorers, and that's Jaylen Brown against Klay Thompson. So what a matchup that is. That's what you want to see.
Right.
And that one should be very, very interesting. And it could be the key to the series, in my opinion, because these two guys can carry a team at any given time, or they can be shut down and then the team struggles. So this, to me, of all 5 matchups, is the key one. Deb, you want to start off on this one?
Yeah, I completely agree with that assessment, Coach. And as I've been looking at it, I think it's the toughest matchup to call as well. Because I think when you look at a Curry or a Tatum, there's been a lot of consistency, but Klay has been all over the place. And Brown either can be the top dog or play second fiddle to Tatum. So I think it's a little bit it's a little bit tough to call. I give the edge to Brown in this one. I like Brown a little better. I think he can do a little bit more with the ball. I think Boston needs him a little more than Golden State needs Thompson. So I give a little bit of an edge to Brown.
Crash?
I think Brown can definitely do more to create his own shot, and that would be the advantage that he has over Thompson for me. Thompson really hasn't done very well at all against Boston. He's been held below 30 fantasy points in his last 4 games against them, and that's going back to 2017, of course, with all the injury stuff that he had to deal with. But in his last 10 games, he's only scored more than 40 fantasy points once. So he's really been held in check by Boston, and I would expect that to continue because if they can make Curry their main, scorer, then I think that Boston can win this series.
Yeah, and it's going to be very interesting. I mean, I will say with Klay, he's probably one of the top 2 or 3 players in the history of the league to move without the ball and get open for a set shot. And they know that they need to have him involved, to win. And so I'm not writing Klay off, but I will say I was one of the people that played him quite a bit in this last conference finals, and he let me down. You're right. He was not consistent, and he'd get in strings where he just didn't shoot well. And then, all of a sudden you just never know, though, when he hits 6, 7 threes in a row. But I think they're going to be, I agree with you. I think they're going to be very aware of where he is on the floor and, try to limit his attempts, because when he only gets 8 or 10 or 12 shots up like he did in some of those games, you might as well forget it. He's a volume shooter, 15 to 20 shots. But if he does get those up, then it could be a different ball game. But I agree. I think Jaylen Brown, this is, to me, everybody knows Tatum is a superstar already. Jaylen Brown, this is his chance to go from that great player guy to superstar status, because they're going to need him alongside Tatum to carry them offensively. No doubt. All right. The next one, super, super interesting. How about Jason Tatum against Andrew Wiggins? So Wiggins has been just the greatest section of his entire career has been in the playoffs. He has gone bonkers from out of nowhere. We expected him to be, I really thought he'd be 4th or 5th option for them going into these playoffs when you consider Poole and everybody else. But man, did he step up. He was the number 1 guy in some of these games. And then, of course, Jason Tatum, he's an awesome DFS player too, because he gets everything. So, I would say most people will target this as the most important matchup because, if Wiggins can continue it is the question. And we know Tatum is going to be there. So what do you think, Crash?
Yeah, I think Tatum's length is going to give Wiggins some problems. He hasn't faced a bigger guy really in the playoffs so far, and I think that that's going to be an issue for him. Wiggins, I think he can give Tatum some problems too, though, because he's really quick and kind of like Oladipo in a sense. and can make him turn the ball over. So it'll be an interesting matchup. I wouldn't expect a huge game from Wiggins against Tatum. But, if he can one or two in this series, 1 or 2 games in this series, then it could be a series shifter. So I like Tatum in this matchup, but it'll be interesting to see how Golden State gets Wiggins involved.
Well, I tell you, Deb knows something about Tatum and turnovers.
Yeah.
Wait till prize section. Exactly.
Yeah. You crushed that. Go ahead in case people missed that. What do you tell them, Deb?
That's right. It's been like 6 out of 8 that we've hit the +8. It stays at +3.5 all the time. And he's been hitting it most games.
He's been turning it over.
Particularly games that they lose. So if you think that Golden State's going to win this one, look for that +3.5.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking of that when I was making my prize picks plays, and I was like, nah, I'll save that for Deb.
What do you think of the matchup, Deb?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a matchup, at least for game 1, that I'm going to stay away from. I think I think Crash said it really well. They both are going to give each other a little trouble, and therefore, pricing wise, I think they're a little bit overpriced for what they're going to deliver in this game. So I don't think that Wiggins has anything near the series that he had the last series. I think he's going to have a lot more trouble against Boston. And I think Tatum will get his, but I don't think he's going to have, the huge numbers that you would need to really consider him for captain or otherwise. So,
yeah. And, I'm sort of with you. I mean, it's sort of the Spider-Man versus Spider-Man meme, because you don't often find a 6'8" guy with that kind of quickness and foot movement and just athleticism. So, yeah, I think they're both, going to be really pushing each other to play well. And that's certainly going to be a differentiator because everybody's going to play Tatum, and there's going to be a lot of people that are on this Wiggins bandwagon, especially the Golden State folks. So that could be a big differentiator for us. All right, how about the grit and grind, Horford versus Draymond? That's going to be a blast.
I don't know. What time does the game start? It might be past their bedtime.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to have to take some vitamins.
I love it though. Talk about, you think of Horford as like the nice guy to Draymond's nasty guy, but no, Horford's a fighter, and
he's a fighter.
It's gonna be a battle. I think they're gonna work to both can rebound, both can pass the ball. I think they're really going to be some facilitators to the offense, and it's going to be fun to watch. I probably lean a little bit towards Draymond just in terms of overall contributions. I think he's going to, some of the stocks and some of the assists, but it's going to be a dogfight.
It is. What do you think, Crash?
I actually lean more towards Al Horford in this matchup. I think that he's going to get some of those looks that he got in the Milwaukee series, same looks that like Reggie Bullock got against Golden State. And he can knock him down when he's wide open from that side, that corner over there, he can knock him down. So I think that, Robert Williams and Al Horford are going to be tough on both Green and Looney. And so I lean towards Horford in this matchup.
Yeah, this is as crazy as it sounds, I guess, because I'm just an old coach, but this is the matchup I'm most excited about. I really am, because these two guys are dogs. And I can tell you right now, Draymond, when he first came up, really tried to be like a young Al Horford, great defender, not the fastest feet or athleticism, but just smart, strong, and can shoot the three when open. Strip. I mean, you're not going to find two guys in the league that strip the ball better than these two guys, because usually it's like some superstar 6'10" guy flying at him. It's either strip it or get dunked on, one or the other.
Yeah.
But I think they're both huge because they're both great passers as well. And they're going to facilitate a lot. I'm going to be rostering both of these guys a lot, or one or the other, because I think they're not only going to get rebounds, which they'll both do well in that area, because neither team is a massive frontline rebounding team.
Yeah.
And they're going to get a decent amount of assists because of the terrific wing defense and matchups we talked about. I mean, you can't get much tougher D on the perimeter than these two teams are offering. So they're going to have to run a lot through Horford and a lot through Draymond, which both teams do anyway. So you're going to get some extra assists. I think that's going to be the unsung spot for both of these teams, are these two positions. The only tough part is they're both such great defenders and smart defenders. Are they going to hold each other down a little bit? So that is going to be fun. Yeah. All right, the last matchup, which is sort of bizarre. Who'd ever think we talk about an NBA Finals and everybody wants to know, how is it Robert Williams III going to do against Kevon Looney? So it goes to show you that you don't have to have a superstar center, established center in this league to make the finals.
Yeah.
Where do you start, Crash?
I was going to say the Bulls did it for years with Luke Longley and Bill Cartwright, so it can definitely be done.
But Michael and Scotty might have had a little bit. I think you could have played center and won one.
Yeah. And that was a different era too. So
exactly.
But I think, nowadays I think you can definitely get by with lesser at the center position. And I think that Looney's going to struggle in this series. Like I mentioned, with Al Horford and Robert Williams, both at interior defense, he didn't see any of that against Dallas, and really not that much against Memphis either, because Steven Adams was hurt quite a bit, and Brandon Clark is a more of an athletic defender and finesse guy than Horford and Williams are more bruiser type. So I think that Looney's going to have a hard time in this series.
Deb?
Yeah, he's certainly not going to have those open rebounds like he did in the last series. But I think they need some time on the floor from Looney because Boston can throw Williams, they can throw Horford, they can throw Tice at you. So I think he's going to. I don't see him being any sort of offensive threat really, but I do see him continuing to get some rebounds, and he might be someone. He's a little bit less expensive, although he's come up a lot, but he might be someone that you need to kind of keep in your consideration set in your lineup. But and Robert Williams, he looks great. He's so active out there. You love watching him play, but they're just not giving him the minutes. And I don't see that changing in this series either. So it's hard to rely on him when you don't know. I mean, he could go off and give you, 35 fantasy points in 25 minutes, or he could give you 18. So, tough to really think about, focus on him too much in this series, unless we see that for some reason they decide to play him more minutes.
And here's where I'm going to take my stand. And, we always are gutsy here. We fade top guys. We do. I mean, we don't just give you, hey, this is the easy thing. This is who you play. I'm going to completely fade these guys. I think Kevon Looney and Robert Williams III pretty much get played out of this series. I don't see either one of them playing a big role. I think both teams go small, and you're going to see Horford versus Draymond at center for big chunks of time for multiple reasons. One, it allows 5-out type of action that both teams want to score with Brown and Tatum, and obviously the Splash Brothers and Poole. I mean, so I think you're going to see a lot more of what this game has become. It's a make or miss league, as they say on NBA TV all the time. You got to make the shots, and I don't think those two guys are going to play the big minutes. Now, I do think Robert Williams is a very talented young man, and he is a DFS points per minute monster. But as Deb pointed out, every time we try to play him and you think, okay, he's up for a big game, they may stretch him to 25 to 30 minutes. They just don't do it. I mean, he gets 16, 18, maybe 22 minutes if you're lucky. And in this matchup, you got to remember two things. These two teams are coming out of games where they had an interior advantage. Dallas can't defend, Billy Barty. Remember him, the old little tiny guy? Now that's going way
Billy
back.
Barty.
He was like 3 foot. He's literally was like 3'3". So anyway, that's a really old timer joke. Look, you can Google
what era was that, Coach?
This was like 70s. So it's
wow.
Yeah. So I should have said mini me. That would have been
Mini me. There you go.
That would have worked.
Yeah.
By the way,
That's
I was Dr. Evil one Halloween, and Dawson was the mini me guy. It was hilarious. Yeah. Anyway, I get back to my points. I just don't think this is going to be a series where the bigs are going to play a big role. Plus, that rotation. Boston wants to play Derek White a little bit more now since he showed up and he's becoming a big part of what they're doing. Obviously, Jordan Poole needs to play a big role in coming off the bench. Mm-hmm. So they're going to want to go small. I think those guys get squeezed out. Plus, Grant Williams gets some minutes. Otto Porter's going to get some minutes. So it just, for me, I'm going to be complete stay away there. Focus on more Draymond and Horford and then the wings. So we'll see how that works. Hopefully, as the series goes on, people can watch this and say, yeah, coach has had some smarts there, or they're going to say, what an idiot. But that's okay. I've been called both, and I can accept both. I think I am both. So there you go. All right, let's do this now that we've talked about the matchups, break it up that way. Let's look at some pricing. We provide here at Coach Talk a coach's clipboard, which is highlighted players, and then some other selections that we choose from. We don't do that for showdown slates like this, but we do that for baseball and our other sports. But for showdown slates, we'll give a core 4 of the guys we think that you need to build off of. And we give full lineups for Yahoo and for Fanduel. So, a little bit different than some providers out there. Again, we stick our necks out and we back up what we say. So we want to look at it because, in these showdown slates, it's everything. DraftKings weights the pricing for your captain. That changes the whole strategy. FanDuel and Yahoo do not. So you're going to have a ton of repetitive lineups with everybody playing Curry and Tatum and everybody in those big spots because you don't have to pay more for them. So we're going to talk about that briefly here, give everybody a feel of how it'll look for the playoffs. So let's start out with DraftKings because, again, that is a different, completely different strategy where, yes, you're going to have to pay up for your captain. And there's really 2 schools of thought here. Either you just suck it up and pay up for somebody like a Curry or Tatum or Brown or whatever, and then you just find some value with the guys off the bench. And, sometimes it gets rough. You got to dig in for the Grant Williams and Pritchards and these guys and pray that they're going to get in there. Mm-hmm. Or you can go with a cheaper captain and then, fill in with guys that are going to get solid minutes. So just real quickly here, Deb, why don't you start off? Give us your initial feeling. And again, for game 1, you can refer to because we have the pricing out. And let me give you the top 4, the guys over 10K for the captain spot on DraftKings, because somebody has to explain to me a couple of these guys because it's a little surprising to me. So it's Jason Tatum 15-9, and then we have let me see here. I have somebody in my lineup already, so let me put those back in there. All right, Tatum 15-9, and then of course Curry 15-3. That makes sense. Jaylen Brown 13-8, Smart 12-3. Klay Thompson, 11-7. I'm going to go 2 more spots because I find it amazing. Al Horford's 11-4. And then are you ready for this? Kevon Looney is the 7th highest priced guy as captain at 11-1. Yeah. Deb, are you playing Kevon Looney at captain?
Not after what we just discussed, right?
Yeah.
And I've definitely been, as the GPP player, I've definitely been, looking for that maybe second tier guy at captain to get some more of those stars in. But I don't like it. I don't like it tomorrow night. I like playing it up more straight. Okay. I'm not going to go with a Curry or Tatum, but I really like Jaylen Brown in that top spot.
Okay. 13-8's reasonable.
Yeah. It gives you enough money to get in a superstar and not have to go to a player like that I know, that I'm not sure if he's going to give me a 0,
Like
no,
or somebody.
yeah, no Tices this time, no,
Lord.
no Naismiths, no Moody's. These are guys who are really gonna give a lot of minutes and have a chance to get some real points. So I like Brown a lot. I think he's a good value at that position. I am not interested in Looney. I think Draymond Green is an interesting player for the top position. So I'm not going top tier with a Curry or Tatum, but I'm also not playing around with someone who's too risky.
Excellent. On the other side of the coin, not to put you on the spot, but who's looking like your last guy in?
I'm going with Otto Porter. Otto Porter.
Otto Porter. Okay.
He's back for this series. He has played well against Boston. I think he's been, his size is going to be necessary against Boston. And particularly, I expect that Draymond's going to end up in some foul trouble along the way. And so I think they're going to need some solid minutes from him to sort of take over that a little bit more bruising type of role.
I like it. And he's only $4,000, so it does open some stuff up for you. So I like that call. And he's probable. He's not questionable. He's going to play.
He's going to play. Yeah.
Crash, what about you? What's your captain looking like?
I'm probably going to land with Curry as my captain. And then I'm going to find some value, maybe with, a Marcus Smart or an Al Horford instead of a Jason Tatum.
Okay.
I like what Wiggins and Poole have done against the Celtics this year. So those two are definitely in play for me. Hopefully Gary Payton II plays. I think he could be a nice value option. So he would probably be one of my last guys in if we want to look at that. Don't want to go to the Kevon Looney, Draymond Green plays like we talked about. Not on Klay Thompson. So Curry, Wiggins, Poole, Otto Porter Jr. is another guy that I like for value, and then Gary Payton II. Hopefully he'll play.
Very nice. Yeah, I'm probably going to try to save a little bit and not go Tatum, Curry, or Brown at captain, just because I want to not have to take that last guy in and just pray that he plays. So I'm really gearing a little bit more towards Marcus Smart right now at 12-3. I think that's a fair price for him. I think he'll play 40 minutes. And again, Curry's not the most adept defender, although I will say he did play better defense in this last series than he normally does. So we'll see. That could be one way to go. Al Horford at 11-4 is another nice option. And I'm not totally adverse to Draymond at 10-2, because if he does have a game where he decides to score 12 real points or something, then he becomes a real nice value play.
Sure.
The interesting thing I have to decide is Jordan Poole's pretty cheap and he can be explosive, but I'm concerned about with Gary Payton playing possibly, and just, are there enough shots to go around? Because he's another volume guy that needs to get the ball up. So that's going to be something I'm going to be following closely, because what I don't want to do, I do not want to, White is feasible too, by the way, at 8-1 cheap wise, but I do not want. And so if I post a lineup, you guys have the power on our Discord to erase it. If I put a lineup with Pritchard, Kuminga, Tice, Moody, Bielitsa, any of those guys, just erase it.
Just turn it down. Take it down.
Take it down. Tell me to come to my senses, because it seems like I end up with one of those chumps in there, and then you're just dying because your guy can have a 50 and you take a goose or like 3 and you're sunk. So
I'll just post the WTF guy, that little GIF, and then you'll know what.
I am bound and determined to play guys that are going to get minutes, and then let minutes equal money in this series to me.
Yeah.
So, Coach, my stand, similar to your stand, the guy that I'm going to be fading, at least for game 1, we'll see how it goes, but possibly the whole series, is Derek White. I think that a lot of people are going to be on the bandwagon because he had such a great series. Half of those games, though, Marcus Smart wasn't playing or a bit hobbled. And I think he's going to get, he's going to get some Klay Thompson defense. He's going to get some Poole defense. I don't see him having a good series. I see him regressing sort of back to the average of where he had been. So he's my fade.
I don't blame you. I mean, the only thing I will say for him though is their guard depth is not good. So I do think the coach has confidence in him, and I do think he'll get a good 25 minutes. So that's the only thing. Again, when you get down to the bottom of the barrel and you got to make somebody work, that's why I'm not total fade on him. But I agree with you. There's going to be some regression, and for the fair weather DFS players that are just watching the NBA playoffs for some reason, like my brother, I just want to smack him in the head. He said, I don't need to watch the NBA regular season. I'll just watch the playoffs. You're missing the best athletes in the best sport in the world, but it is what it is. So, but you're right. There will be some Derek White momentum, and he very possibly doesn't deserve that. All right, let's switch over to FanDuel real quickly, because again, now on FanDuel, it's a whole different scenario, which everybody knows. You get the 2x, the 1.5x, and the 1.2, and you don't have to pay more money.
Yeah.
So again, the whole DraftKings strategy was talked about is out the window, and it's hard to chase raw points here. So this is where all of a sudden Tatum, Curry, Brown specifically, in my opinion, have to be considered in those top spots. What do you think, Crash?
Yeah, I agree. I find what usually happens for me is on FanDuel, I'll usually end up having the similar core at the top, but then I'll be able to get, maybe one more star that I couldn't get in on DraftKings because of the way the salary increases. So that's usually my strategy. So I might be able to go with, Curry and Brown and Wiggins or something like that on FanDuel in the top 3 spots.
Yeah.
My approach is going to be to go more even. I think this series, I think you have a lot. I don't, different from, a Milwaukee with Giannis or Dallas with Luka.
Joker.
I think you've got a little bit more even distribution, particularly early on in the series. I don't see Curry, necessarily, trying to go for, 50 or Tatum, et cetera. So I think I'd like to take a more balanced approach, and again, not end up in the depths of the lineup. So still looking at Brown in my top spot, and then, looking at a rotation of Smart, Horford, Green, the guys that we've been talking about that we know are going to be playing a lot of minutes and contributing a lot. And again, not going down to the guys who may just not show up.
Yeah. And for me, it's similar. I won't get too cute though, because if you do try to get, a little crazy and throw somebody up at the top like a Poole or Draymond, where, it's just literally, Tatum, Curry, Brown, basically at this, you have to almost look at them as the same price as those other guys, in the sense that, you're getting 2x, 1.5, and 1.2x. So it does have to play some chalk, and you got to face it in these, you're going to have splits. You're not going to have a lot of unique lineups at all. So, sometimes you just have to bite the bullet. That's why, we always recommend here at Coach Talk, not just playing the $4.44 lineup that there's 9 million other people that have Tatum, Curry, Brown, Smart, and Thompson or whatever. And so, play some of those head-to-heads, play some of those single entry where, you're really taking somebody's best shot, and you can win very solid doing it that way. And then not feeling like, okay, I need to do something wacky, like put Robert Williams in the captain spot, and then, just pray that some crazy thing happens that I can take something down. Now, if you want to do that, that's fine. If you're a 150 max player or whatever, but, generally, if you want to build a bankroll and make money, you want to find the spots and take advantage of the better players. So pretty much that goes for me on here. And then Yahoo, we can talk about it for a second as well. It's very similar. Megastar, superstar, and star. It's identical to what FanDuel does. So all of what we just said basically, comes to play. Do you guys have anything else to add on that?
For Yahoo? I was looking here. Well, one thing is the value plays are always like the same. They're all like $10.
Right.
So you can usually get some pretty good star players on Yahoo. I usually feel like I have the most safe quote unquote lineup on Yahoo when I make my lineups.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely can make things fit, but you still got to be cognizant of that, multipliers up top.
Right.
Because it's hard to chase down raw points. But I agree with the point that Deb made too. That the reason this is going to be more fun than some of these last series is you can't fade Embiid, you can't fade Giannis, you can't fade Luka, you can't fade Joker. All those guys that it's just you put them in and just figure out the rest.
Mm-hmm.
There's a combination here of guys. There's no shoe-ins. We've seen games where Tatum struggled or Clay struggled or Curry or whatever. So it's going to be a lot more fun, basically, because you've got two teams here, not individual players, which I think will make it a lot more fun for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
How expensive is Tatum on Yahoo? I was just curious, Deb.
He is come on.
He's
40.
40. Yeah.
40.
Curry 37.
He's 37.
Brown 31.
Most expensive.
Pool's fourth most expensive at 26.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a little bit different builds, but it's going to be fun. And we've been hammering it on all three. So I highly recommend all three of them. And you can get a little bit different. If you're stuck between two guys, they may be a value on one site where they're not on the other. So it gives you a little bit of spread on playing some different guys. All right, fantastic. Let's finish up with our predictions for the series. Who wins and in how many games? Crash, you can go, man. No pressure.
Golden State in 7.
All right.
My head says Golden State in 7. My heart says Boston in 6.
Okay. So which one are you going to go with?
For betting? You know what? Why not Boston in 6? Why not?
Wow. Gutsy.
I wonder if I'm going to take a look at that bet, see what I can get for that.
You could probably make some plus money there for sure.
Yeah.
As much as I'd love to take Boston here, I sort of like the way they play and everything. I just, zero experience in the finals against a dynasty, 7 finals, 8 finals. I've lost track of how many this core has been in. And I really think that Golden State is determined more than they've ever been, because when they were young and they were winning it, they were just experiencing it. When they got KD, it was like they had to win it because they had the stacked team. They bought a championship. KD was there. It was muddied. Now it's like nobody counted them in. Nobody thought they could beat Phoenix. They were what are they, a 4 seed or 3 seed?
Yeah.
So nobody really gave them that shot, and it's a homegrown group. They traded for Wiggins. I get it. He was a cast off. Nobody else wanted him anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got it led by the two main guys, Curry and Thompson. But really the rest of it is cast offs. Otto Porter, Kevon Looney, who was almost out of the league. All of these guys, Gary Payton II, Jordan Poole, who was last year played in the G League, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
So they're really a different group. And I think just the experience and the leadership with Clay and Steph, and they've been there, they know what it takes, and they're determined, because this takes them from two, again, they're going to be first ballot Hall of Famers, all that stuff. But now people will say, you know what? They didn't need KD to win it. They won it when everybody counted them out.
Yeah.
And plus the Steve Kerr factor. We talked about it before the podcast. The dude, this will be what? How many as a player and coach? 8?
Yeah, it'll be 8.
Yeah,
he's so, 8. This is a leader. This is a born, coach, a born champion. And not that I'm, not saying don't think Boston has a chance, because they do have a puncher's chance, no question. But I just think Golden State's going to be a little too much to overcome. So I'm going to take I'm going to take Golden State in 5.
5. Wow. Woo.
I hope I'm wrong, but it is what it is. So
I'm pretty sure you're going to be wrong.
I hope so.
Let's see.
You're the guy that picked Boston until Game 7, and then you switched to Miami. So I'm going to call you out right here. I changed back to Boston, and there you go. Now your team won.
Yeah, and I was within a point on the score. I just had the wrong teams too.
Your Milwaukee Bucks fan club card is going to be restricted because you're rooting for the Celtics. Sorry.
No, I'm not. I'm rooting for Golden State.
Okay.
Interestingly, the odds on Golden State winning in 5 are the second lowest of all the odds.
Wow.
So Golden State winning in 7 is the lowest, but Golden State winning in 5 is second lowest.
So I'm not getting any bang for my buck then.
No.
How about Boston in 6? What are you getting?
Boston in 6, not much either. That's the third. That's sort of, if Boston wins, that's what's predicted. Boston in 7 has the odds. Boston in 7 is 6-1.
Nice.
Better odds than Boston in 6.
What's Boston in 4?
15-1.
15-1. There you go.
You're drunk. If that happens, I won't wear a hat for a month on the podcast. If that happens.
What about Golden State in 4?
Golden State in 4 is only 11-1. That's not going to happen either.
That's not too bad.
I don't think it'll sweep.
There's no way.
I don't either. But
no way. Better odds with some different things.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to remember Robert Williams is my captain because every time Coach goes, if you do this, then it's going to be some play. Usually turns out to be exactly right.
The Fredo kiss of death from the Godfather. That's
right.
Yeah, like we always talk about Jordan Lyles on our baseball podcast, and then he goes out and throws a shutout. It's like what?
We made fun of him, and he almost pitched a no-hitter for God's sake.
Oh my God.
Well, listen, I hope everybody enjoyed this. I'd give you a good look at the entire series as well as Game 1. We'll certainly be back every day. We
got to do our Prize Picks plays.
Oh, I forgot about Prize Picks. Okay, we don't want to forget about them. Our presenting sponsor, they wouldn't be very happy with me if that was the case. Do you want to start out there, Mr. Prize Picks? I tried telling Josh that we should get involved with Prize Picks a year ago, but he wouldn't listen to me.
I remember that story a little bit different.
It might have been the shoe on the other foot. I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you got?
All right. So I've got Stephen Curry over 3.5 3-pointers made. He's gone over this number in 4 of his last 5 games against Boston. I think he'll come out looking to set the tone in this series. And I think he's going to make 5 threes tomorrow.
Wow. What a bold prediction. The greatest shooter of all times, Deb, predicting to make threes.
Against the top-rated defense, it makes it a little bolder.
No,
against Marcus Smart.
Yeah.
So I got to do it, right? Tatum, over 3.5 turnovers. Come on. Easy money.
You know what? They're going to change that line on you after all this.
Because of me, right? Exactly.
Yeah, you're spreading all these people just bullying everybody to get it done. I'm gonna go with points, rebounds, and assists. Anybody want to guess who I'm picking? You probably can guess.
Marcus Smart.
That was close.
Jaylen Brown.
No, it's Draymond Green.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I just think Draymond, the step up, it's only 21.5. Nice, tidy little total. If you look at Tatum and Curry, 39.5, 37.5. So if he gets double-digit rebounds and he's going to get some assists, just give me 12 points, Draymond. 10 points, I'll take. So there.
Yep. So we're going to do, are we doing 2 or 3?
It's up to you guys. I have 2 prepared, but I can always pick one on the fly. What do you have, Deb?
I've got
12.
I got to exactly. So Marcus Smart at his PAR 24.5 over.
Okay. Points, rebounds, assists for Marcus, you said?
Marcus Smart, over 24.5 points, rebounds.
That was my second choice, Deb.
That's a pretty good one. Gotcha. That's the tough thing with the 3 of us. We're bad.
Yeah. I was just thinking that we're probably going to have the same thing here at least once because there's only so many props you can get.
Exactly.
That's what I was going to say. If we just want to do 2, that's still 6 that we're giving away. So
that's fine. What do you got for your second one then?
All right, so I'm going to go with this one and save the other one for the members. I'm going to go with Kevon Looney under 9.5 rebounds. He's gone under this number in all but one of his last 5 against Boston. This is a much tougher matchup than Dallas and Memphis were inside. And Bam Adebayo averaged 8.4 against Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals. So I like the Looney under here at 9.5.
Well, I'm going to jump on your Looney bandwagon, and I'm taking Looney under 25 fantasy score. I think that he backs up. And again, I think this series goes small a lot. So that's my second go around.
I like it. I do have a third.
Oh, okay. Bonus one from Deb.
I'm going Jaylen Brown over 2.5 threes.
Okay.
I think he's the guy who gets the threes tonight over Tatum. They're going to hit some, and I like Jaylen Brown doing it tonight.
Okay,
I love it. There we go. All right. Anything else to add, ladies and gentlemen? There?
No, I think that's it for me.
We're set.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for both taking the time to jump on this. This was a blast. I love the 3-man booth here, 3-woman booth, 3 whatever. I guess what's the proper way to 3-person booth?
3-person
There
booth.
you go.
3 pros booth. There you go.
3 pros. All right.
We hope so. If you're watching this and all of the stuff we said was right on the money, excellent. Put a comment in there. Give us a thumbs up. If you're watching on YouTube, quick thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. We'd really appreciate that. That means a lot. Hit the little alert. This way, all of our podcasts in front of the paywall. They post all the time. NBA, MLB, PGA, then we'll have NFL before you know it. It's already June, so they'll be starting summer stuff here soon, and we'll be covering all of it here. Again, if you want to join us, it's dfscoachtalk.com. You can sign up for any of our passes there. If you have any questions or you want to check us out on Twitter, we're at DFS Coach Talk. Deb, where can they find you on Twitter?
Deb Lutz 33.
And Crash?
At JP Davis 1982.
And I am at Joe Sarvati, so you can check any of us out there. And, we really do appreciate any feedback. If you're listening on any of our audio podcast landing spots, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever, quick 5-star rating in a few words. Our man Colin will be selecting a person for a free week membership randomly each month. And we have a new month starting today, being June 1. So definitely take advantage of that. All right. That is it, my friends. Thank you so much again for getting aboard here and being part of this during the day here. It's a interesting time to do a big podcast like this, but it's the NBA Finals. It's real time, and it's going to be a great series. So thank you, everybody, also for listening in, and we look forward to seeing you join the Coach Talk family as time goes. So we appreciate it. We'll be back again tomorrow, as always, as we look to crush it in all of our sports in DFS and Prize Picks.